Hi there plant fans, and thank you very much for stopping back to my channel The New Leaf. I'm here today to have a chat with you about one of my most favourite plants in my whole collection, and that is this little chap here. It's a type of Oxalis. Its full name, it is a right old mouthful, is Oxalis spiralis Vulcanicola. This one is called Plum Crazy. You can see why, it's absolutely stunning. And this one is called Sunset Velvet, absolutely beautiful. So this plant was originally discovered near a volcano in Costa Rica, hence the name Vulcanicola. It's also found in other parts of Central and South America. You probably recognise this because it is part of the wood sorrel family. So you might recognise these from having a walk in the woods in the UK. Some varieties of these, particularly the green-leaved ones, are edible. You're probably also very familiar with Oxalis triangularis, otherwise known as the butterfly plant. And that one has those big, beautiful purple leaves that really do look like butterflies, especially when the breeze catches them. I'll stick a photo up if you're not familiar with that one. Unlike the triangularis, which is propagated via bulbs, sort of little rhizome things, these ones are actually propagated by stem cuttings. Partly because they grow so incredibly fast. So the reason I'm here today is to show you how to propagate these, because they are ridiculously easy to propagate. I would say even more so than Tradescantia. This is actually the only houseplant I own that I actually have to prune to keep it looking tidy. It grows so quickly and the long stems sort of fly up and then start flopping around all over the place. So why not, if you're pruning it anyway, propagate your cuttings and make your pot bigger, or perhaps give the plant away to a friend or family member. So let's get on with it. So as I mentioned, this is the only houseplant I have which I have to prune to keep it looking nice and tidy. So you can see why there's quite a long growth that's starting to ping off. So if you imagine that much longer and loads of them just flopping about everywhere, they can get really quite long and almost trail. Of course, you could leave it if you like the look of that. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't. But you can see how it would give you lots of material to propagate with when it gets really long like this. So we're going to try this two different ways, both as easy as each other. I still do both methods, possibly slightly more putting it straight into compost just because it's quicker and easier, because I grow a heck of a lot of this for my customers. We're going to try both soil propagation and water propagation. Water propagation is fun because you can see those roots develop, so it's quite nice for kids and people with low levels of patience like myself. I'll just take you through the equipment. There's really not much here at all. So some scissors, the ever trusty faithful pokey stick. We've got a little jar of fresh water there. And we have got a prepared pot of nice free draining soil. So you can see there's quite a bit of perlite in there. That is important, especially when you're trying to root cuttings, because it does mean that there's lots of air around the roots. And that does actually help roots form as well. So I've also got my little blue watering can as usual. And of course, our lovely plants. We'll start with the Plum Crazy because there's a lot more of this one, so I'm just going to pop that down there. So literally all we're going to do, this really is not complicated at all. We're going to start with this long stem. If I hold that up there, you can see that that's a nice thick long stem there. So we're literally going to cut like that. So you can see that one there. Remove those bottom leaves because they will rot in the water. And then we will literally just pop it in like that. And now you don't have to worry about rooting from nodes or anything like that with these. These will actually root from the whole way along the stem. So really, really easy peasy. So stick that in the water, just make sure it's a good bit underneath the surface there. So there's our first one, wasn't that difficult. So we'll find another nice one to do. So there's another long one there, so I'm going to cut that off right close to the main stem. Again, removing those bottom leaves because we don't want those to rot. And straight in with his friend there. So we'll do one more. As I say, this really, really is so simple. there's another bit there. So take those bottom leaves off and straight in the water. So easy peasy, we've got 3 cuttings there. So we'll do some in the soil now. So this is pretty dry, so I'm just going to give this a bit of a water because it really does help these guys to root and stay happy. So there we go. So we'll grab some more cuttings from here. These are quite big cuttings that I'm taking. You can actually take much smaller, even just like 1.5 centimetres or 1 inch. They do still work and go absolutely mad. So I'm just going to take a few of these before we start putting them in the soil. Again, taking those bottom leaves off, exactly the same as with the water because we don't want those to rot. Oh, there's a huge one there. There we go. These leaves do like to get a bit involved with each other as well. So depending how patient you are, careful untangling or just yanking if you're me. So there's another one. We'll do one more. There is really quite a lot of plant material here. Oh, there's another nice big one there. So there we go, just wiggle him out. So these are big cuttings, so these will produce really nice little rooted plants when they are ready. So there's those. So we'll get on with putting those into soil now. We've got our 4 nice generous cuttings here, and we've got our nice damp soil. So we're just going to take our nice pokey stick, and I bet you'll never guess what's coming next. We're going to poke 4 holes in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You could fit more in here. You can crowd the pots, they really don't mind. And then quite simply, take your cutting, pop it in your hole, if you can find it, and then give it a little firm down, and there we go, just like that, easy peasy. So I'll just quickly shove the other 4 in. Number 4. So I've got those stems probably about 1 inch under the soil there. So you can see those all happy in there. So it's summertime here in the UK at the moment, so it's pretty warm even though the weather is rubbish. So these should root, I would think, within a week or 2 probably. But as with most things, if you're not sure, give the cutting a little tug, and if it resists and it doesn't move or come away from the soil, then you're rooted. So yay. So we've got our 2 different methods there. We've got our water propagation method and we've got our soil method. So just to show you with the water propagation, so these are some cuttings I took from home, or from my extremely leggy plant. You can see how thin those stems are. So I took those cuttings from home, I would think probably 2 weeks ago. So I'll just hold that up, hopefully you can see the roots, but I will pop a close up in as well. So hopefully you can see that. So those have not taken long to root at all. As I mentioned, I do propagate a lot of these because my customers love them, so I do sell quite a few plants every week. So just to illustrate this point, here's one I made earlier. So this is a recycled oven tray that had a nice lasagna in it or something like that. So you can see there, I've absolutely stuffed this to the gills with cuttings. I took these probably 3 weeks ago, so you can see how they fill out and bush out. These were really quite small and spindly when I put them in. They looked ever so pathetic, but they root very quickly. So good watering, a little bit of food and lots of sunlight, and you will get this lovely result quite quickly. So there's probably, there must be probably 40 plants in there, I would have thought. So I'll be potting those up for my customers pretty soon, I should think. But isn't that a lovely display? Ah, pretty. Just a little whistle-stop tour, a bit of a chat about this plant's care. It really is a very, very easy one, which is another reason why I am so fond of it. I mean, just look at the flower, beautiful pink variegation. They really are so colourful. This one, particularly if you put it in stronger sun, it brings more out of this lovely sort of salmon pinky bronzy colour you can see. So while these guys do look like really delicate little plants, actually they will take a heck of a lot of sunlight, which I really like, because really I find I don't have that many plants that will sit on a south-facing window and bake in the sun for a lot of the day. The bright sunlight really does help them keep their colour. I'm a firm believer it really helps with their very, very fast, vigorous growth as well. And as you can see, they feature this lovely sunny yellow flower. They do feature those quite prolifically as well, so you should be able to enjoy quite a few of those. So lots of sunshine. They can get a bit leggy if you keep them in lower light, and as I mentioned, the colour can get a little bit dull. They do like free draining soil. They're not particularly fussy, so anything like perlite or grit in there just to help make sure that that water is freely draining away. The other important thing to mention about these guys is watering. Because they can sit in such strong light, obviously they can dry out quite quickly. They do get a bit grumpy and crispy if they're allowed to get too dry. So I would say probably let the plant dry out about halfway down the pot and then give it a really good soak again, and you'll be able to keep these guys happy, no problem. They do quite enjoy a feed as well, so you can give them a feed through the growing season to keep them looking really strong. It can also help keep their growth look nice and compact too. So I hope you found that useful. As I said, really, really not complicated, and much like taking cuttings from lots of other plants that I'm sure you're familiar with and you've done before. But they really, really are joyful plants. I honestly can't recommend them enough. They're absolutely brilliant. They just grow and grow and grow, and then in a month or two, everyone you know will own them. Yay! And they'll all be as happy as you, hopefully. So thank you very much for coming along today. Please do hit those like and subscribe buttons if you found this video useful. And if you feel like sharing a comment below about your experiences with Oxalis, either this one or the Triangularis, I'd really like to hear how you find them and what experiences you've had. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!